So tell us your story. You started playing the piano at age 4.
Yes, I started playing classical piano when I was 4 years old and grew up in that world, and through that I saw a lot of the leftist indoctrination just in colleges, on the campuses where I was, even as a kid. A lot of leftist indoctrination was going on there. Then when I got a little bit older, I got on social media when I was about 14 or so, a little late, I know, and I saw that my generation was being indoctrinated through music and through culture. And beyond politics, we talk about politics a lot in the conservative movement, and that's very important. We need to keep that up. But at the same time, we kind of turn away from culture and just accept the leftist culture that's already there. We talk about like maybe a song here and there when it's extremely bad or whatever, but in between there's not a whole lot of effort to really promote a conservative culture as far as entertainment goes. So I'm starting a movement called Make Music Right with the mission to bring non-degenerate music of all genres to the forefront of American culture. So not necessarily just Christian or just Trump music, although that's both great. I think we need music that relates to all Americans in any place in their lives, but just isn't absolute trash and leftist garbage.
Yeah, just like general music. So
Yeah.
like you're seeing,
Any genre.
what made you gravitate toward conservatism as a young person?
I was raised conservative, but I think that growing up, I always had strong Christian values. And so then when I got more into seeing what the left was pushing on America and on our culture, especially coming from that standpoint as a musician myself, I just really saw just how absolutely backwards it is. Nothing about it makes sense, and I like things to make sense, as most of us do. So I think that conservatism just really made a lot of sense to me.
People in the music industry, there have been times where some people have, they've come out conservative or they've been pro-Trump or whatever, and they get a lot of pushback. Do you
Yes.
think that does it seem like they're maybe getting less pushback now that it's become more cultural? Do you think the conservative movement's become more cultural?
As far as Trump goes specifically?
Yeah, maybe because he's kind of the forefront,
Sure. So I think that there's a lot of pushback for supporting Trump, but I think that from Hollywood and the media and the big corporations, if you support Trump as an artist, you're kicked out, you're booted out, you're gone. But I think that Americans are kind of seeking that out. Americans see that and they're like, oh, hey, this is kind of cool. Our country's in an absolute disastrous state, and maybe Donald Trump's not so bad, and now this musician or rapper or singer here and there is supporting him, and maybe there's something to that. So I think it's extremely important when these people in Hollywood pick up on Trump. I think it's hugely impactful.
What do you think is the biggest misconception that young people have when it comes to conservatives?
Oh gosh, it's a big one. I think that the biggest thing is that, it's gonna sound funny, we're not fun. And in some way, I think that's actually kind of true. I think a lot of times, like with the culture again, we don't really have our own culture. We rely on the left's culture a lot to get us going and to have fun, even if we still hold our own conservative values. So I think that that's a misconception that I hope is going to become more of a misconception in a way, hopefully that'll continue to, I think Americans really need to see that conservative movement has something to offer beyond just politics.
Yeah.
And so I think that if we start to do that, that would be, massively impactful as well.
Do you think it's become more fun though in recent years?
I do.
Because for example, academia is also controlled by the left,
Yes.
and kids, they want to, usually they want to rebel from authority. They don't want to go with what the man is saying, the government. If the people of authority are all saying left-wing propaganda, then wouldn't the natural inclination be someone who's young, rebellious, and free to be more gravitate towards conservative ideas?
I think so. I think we're seeing that with Gen Z especially, that we're getting fed up with what we're being fed. The propaganda is getting to a breaking point, and so I think we're really seeing that as conservatives. It's like, oh hey, maybe this is the better place to be. It's more fun, it's more free. Maybe there isn't something wrong with being proud to be an American, instead of being proud to stand by the gay pride flag in your classroom, So I think that absolutely it's getting more fun. I think with things like Turning Point, I think that that movement really gained a lot of traction within the young people and the youth. And so I'm very thankful for that, But I think that at the same time, the rebellion, the left's very crafty. And I think they found a way to kind of incorporate themselves with almost, it's going to sound bad, but like childish values when you think about it. They didn't make sense. There's no logic involved. And it's almost like do whatever you want kind of values pushed into the kids by the authority. The authority isn't really the adults anymore. Now it's just the adults are all, into all this ridiculously childish propaganda, really. And so I think that in some way the kids are still kind of attracted to that because they're being taught this is the rebellion. They're being taught that to be LGBTQ plus IA whatever is the rebellion against America as a whole, the values that America stands for. And in a way, I think America today is more like the adult in the room. America, the old values is what they're trying to rebel against. But I hope that the conservative movement will bring them more to freedom, and with that, they'll turn away from those leftist values.
So last question, with Trump's trial and everything that's going on right now, do you think people see through it, or do you think it's going to hurt his chances in the election?
I think they see through it. I think there's a small percentage that still believes it. I think a lot of people, the amount of people that have turned around since that happened and gone, oh my gosh, this is incredible. There's no way, I didn't think this was going to happen. Now I'm voting Trump, or now I just donated a bunch of money to Trump, or now I'm doing whatever I can to support Trump, has been really incredible. And so I can see also from the music side of things, I work with some musicians, Forge Out a Blow, for example, like he's like the mayor of Magaville, you know, and he went out there to a few Trump rallies right after that happened, I think, and really the response was incredible from the people surrounding the Trump rallies as well. It's like, you know, this is not what they're expecting to happen. And the enthusiasm to vote for someone, this is going to sound really funny, but to vote for someone who is a convicted felon is, in a way, Americans are excited about that, because they're like, you know what, we've been with the system so long and the system's failing us. This is like the alternative to the system, and they're ready to embrace it.